Hey, g'day guys, this is Sam here again. I was looking at Ethereum and seeing what it's doing, so I thought might as well share the thoughts while I'm doing it. And I noticed some confluence with this macro chart, and I thought I'd better share that. So anyway, let's have a go and see what we can see from the past, what can help us in the future. If you can see this chart, we have from the previous bottom to the top, we apply Fibonacci, and what we notice is that a lot of the fibs had a lot of levels that are confluence with the Fibonacci. So on the way down, we had the 0.5, and here ever so slightly support, and then a bit of maybe a fake out just to squeeze people out of it, and then back up. So this seems to be the bottom range from that lesson or that history. So what we do is we line these macro lines, and we can see that, yep, that's pretty much lines up with resistance for the all-time high. So I can't remember doing this or not, but now it's pretty evident. Also, I thought I'll do the bottom as well. So I connected the bottom with the wick, and then I saw this area as well, and it makes sense. So to me, this area is an area of importance. Importance in the sense of if it's going to be back up again, or we're going to go have a deeper pullback and a much deeper bear market. So I wish it doesn't go further down, but if we do, we're going to talk about that as well. So far, so good. We've got this maximum trend lines, resist all the way, and this gave it away that this line is relevant because we had a response trying to hold it up, and once we broke that, it plummeted. So now we're approaching that area of interest. So usually my strategy is to have two levels within these macro trend lines, and you can see here that point there sort of lines up with that as well, and it's almost there as well. So similarly here, we have two levels or band. So once we apply that principle, we have what looks like an ascending wedge, which is nasty. So it could be that if we do this, the next time could be a double top or further up. And let's see what that could entail. I'm just curious. Okay, so that goes pretty high. Depends how long it goes. But anyway, let's just ignore that for the time being. So by looking at this Fibonacci, and we've got the 0.5, I've taken the liberty to do that again. So you can see the 0.5 also lines up with this area as well. So what I did was pretty much the bottom to the top and the 0.5. So you can see how the 0.618 is trying to hold it up. So let's have a closer look. You can see it dropped below the 0.618 and it's trying to hold it. Really. You can see that trend line that I was talking about. It stops moving. You can see this trend line, how it actually played and ever so slightly, and it plummeted. So what we have is a 3-day chart here. But it makes sense, doesn't it? So now what we've got to see is we need to see this stay above. Very similar to this. We'll need to see potentially a green candle of some sort like this to be reversed. We need a bullish 3-day candle or 2-day. Let's see the 2-day chart for a sec. Okay, so far so good. It's holding up, but we did wick down a fair bit. That would have been a good opportunity to actually get in. It's always like that. So let me go back to the 3-day and just keep talking about this macro structure. So this Fibonacci is pretty important, and it could mean that it's not a bottom. So don't get me wrong. What I'm looking at is a reprieve. maybe we can go up a bit and then back down. Now, I wouldn't say that to scale. It will probably be more if we were to get a rally, just a little rally. You can see this level here is strong resistance from history. So if we were to get a rally, we'll probably get knocked back and then we'll come down again. So that's what I'll be looking at, and I'll be looking at this Fibonacci on the 0.5 fib, pretty much like what I said here. Here we might have something similar to this. So if we were to get, I'll get a screen, what do you call it, a bar pattern. And if we do this, just apply that there. Let's see how we go. Okay, so maybe something like that, and then we just squeeze it in a bit. Let's get rid of that. But I do see that level of pretty much resistance. And what we would like to see is this type of uptrend. So this was not an easy thing to trade, but you can see how this was a bullish pattern, and then it popped up. And we'll talk about where the resistance is. So what we want to see here is first get to the bottom. You see on the way down, it's pretty strong, and it actually got a trend line here as well. So see the trend line. We can apply this trend line a few points, and once we break that trend line, and I'm sure there's some other stuff there with bullish divergence. Let's have a look. So we've got the bottom. So we're seeing this also play out. So if we get a bounce with the RSI, very similar to this. So once we got there, the lesson was that it had a bounce and it came back down again. So I would imagine that will do the same. And that will be pretty low, close enough to the previous low, and then up it goes. We might have that scenario where this actually fits into the thesis anyway. So that's what I'm looking at. Now, what else does support that theory? Here we have a bit of a dip, and potentially we can have a dip as well. So what I've done is, that's the worst case scenario, which goes down to this Fibonacci, a bit deeper. If it's a much more bearish pullback, we hit that Fibonacci. But we can have that where we go to this level here, as you can see, use that as support, very similar to this, where it dips down a bit more, hits this trend line as resistance, and we want to see it break above and then continue on. And the last one is pretty much run on that thing, on the trend line, and then get another sort of W formation, and up we go. So that's what I'm looking at. There's those potentially three scenarios. I'll be trying to look at for the indicators to help us out. Just a sec. Yeah, so I'll be looking at this indicator to help us out, really. And what I'd like to see is very similar to this. If you look at, we've got a bullish divergence playing out. So what we have from there to there is pretty much, actually it's not there, is it? It's confluence, so there's not a hidden bullish divergence either. So from there to there is slightly flat. So that's the bullish divergence there, and then we go up. Okay. What we have though, if you look at this, it's pretty much breaking that moving average, as also breaking that trend line, and that sort of falls in confluence with this Phoenix where all of them go above 50%. So that'll be the initial 3-day chart. It's got to happen on a major support level. All these things have to happen on a major support level. That's what I identified. So now if it's out of context with these indicators, you'll not be able to make sense of it. But when these indicators happen on a major support line, like we identified, if these start crossing over and start pointing upwards, past the 50%, and we see the RSI do something similar. Actually, this is not bad, is it? That looks like a channel, and that's the bottom of the channel. So I would look to see if I can find it somewhere in the middle. That might help out. That'll be a good sign for the first part. If this RSI crosses this midline, I think I'll be comfortable as well to go long. So I do believe we're going to go a bit further down. So in conjunction, so Bitcoin, what will Bitcoin do? It will do something similar. So we'll have a look at it, but you can see it's going to be a hard area to trade. But what we're going to do is look for this kind of stuff. The MACD, let's have a look at the MACD if it gives us any clues. Yeah, ideally the MACD would cross over as well. We do have a slight bullish, it really depends. That looks like a bullish divergence as it's dropping, oversold. But nothing clear yet. So let's have a look at the daily, see if the daily gives us anything to go with. Let's get rid of these for a sec. The daily needs a crossover as well. Okay, we don't have that. So have actually one more indicator. Let's see. The wave trend might help me out here. We'll just group these so we can hide them. That's a 3-day chart. Just don't want to lose that. All right. So now we can see on the daily, it's even easy. I suppose it could make it easier for us as well. That's a straight line. That wiggling like a W, it does look like it wants a reverse. On the daily, we've got a bit of a crossover. We've got a bit over the 50%. So things are looking like for the bounce to happen. Not a big bounce. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. So this trend line on the daily would be a good one. A breakout will be a confirmation to me to go long. But we'll still look at the 3-day and the bigger time frame to see if they line up. Okay, and see if they're on the major level. In the short term, it is hard to trade this, to tell the truth. So let's have a look at this on the short term. Ethereum. Let's split this screen. Here we go. Did I do it here? Can't recall. Or was it on this one? Just a sec. I'll go back. I could have done Bitcoin instead. All right, let's see this one here. 4 hour. Ethereum's pretty much. If you look at my other chart, let's just actually, it might be a good thing to do. Let's just show the other chart I had. Give you a different perspective. So that was an ascending channel. So if we look at this on the daily, we have some good measure as well. We don't need this. We've pretty much proven what that's about. Actually, I can just put that aside. Okay. So what we have here, if it's not too messy, we could, let's see, that line there. Okay, we can get rid of that. So what we have is a potential head and shoulders. Just hide that one for a sec. First, an ascending wedge. All right. So the ascending wedge theory goes is that if we get a measured move, I think that's the one. Get this measured move. So the height from, if it's an ascending wedge, we use this method. If it's a height from the breakout, and we sort of roughly hit our target, slightly a bit lower, but you know, I had these before. And the other one is if it was a head and shoulders, and if this was a head and shoulders, so left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and that was a neckline, we've already hit that target. So I dismissed that. And the other one, if this is the smaller head and shoulders, so if you're going to, really close, it is a head and shoulders, then we get that macro and I apply it to there, and it comes down to 600 as well. So if that's 600, roughly around 600, does that equate to our Fibonacci? Let's just do this. Where's the reverse? Actually, I've got the wrong fib there. Let's do this one. That's a bigger Fibonacci. If we do from the bottom, so you can see the fib fan also has confluence as well. So it's right there, the fib fan. So again, it's coming into play. It's actually really done a good job. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. I'll come back to that. Now the 0.5 fib, you can see this blue one is a 0.5 Fibonacci. And if it does this head and shoulders, it does actually hit it right there. The other aspect, if you do the inverted, so the people that are watching need to know obviously Fibonacci well and how to use it. I did a Fibonacci from the swing high to the swing low to the swing high, and so far it's close to the 1.618, this area. So give or take a little bit, it actually sort of lines up again that the head and shoulders could play out. This ascending wedge is also roughly there. So that trend line that I was talking about, we go there. I think where I do it, I forgot. I think it was from that position, was it? Hold on, let's go to the other chart. So that value there is about 620, 640, and that sort of matches right there as well. 600, yeah, pretty much 630. So the head and shoulder strategy, or the ascending wedge strategy with the measured target, equates to roughly the same position here with this trendline method and the Fibonacci, or the 0.5. So we've got two ways of measuring targets, and they both come to the same conclusion. Now that will be a good entry to go along. Beyond that, we can't comment. We need to watch it. So that will be a good entry to go along, and I'll be planning to do that in about the 600 to 640, whatever it is. And along with the indicators, that's my opinion at this point, to see that take place. And we've already, and another one that I did was this big macro Fibonacci, and that's actually further down, so that doesn't come into play. I haven't applied moving averages, especially on this side. I think the trend lines, formations actually do a good job, and that's pretty much what I have. Now, if we look at Bitcoin from a big perspective, I was actually thinking about shorting Bitcoin today. Let's see how we're going before I just continue on. Okay. Tomorrow's going to be interesting with, actually, I'll show you something else with Bitcoin while we're there. Look at this trend line. That trend line is actually right on the mark. Perfect. Along with the all-time high. I think that's where it is, or close to it. So Bitcoin should get a bounce here, and we did. How much of a bounce is yet to be known. Now, assume that Ethereum has a lower target, like I said, I do see Bitcoin coming down to this level. with Bitcoin, there's a 0.5 Fibonacci and this level here. So between, could go further down, obviously, but that to me is a good support level with a macro Fibonacci. Here we go. So here I've got my lines drawn up. That was the previous all-time low from this wave. We have the 0.5 that played pretty much the role. So here it looks like a good spot. Now let's look at that. This is just current Bitcoin, and you can see Bitcoin from a formation perspective. Come on, chart, come and get up to date. There we go. So all I did was connect the tops, and I just put that channel down to this bottom, and this got confluence to this level. That might be a good spot to buy. Now I don't think it will come down. It might come down straight, but I do think this level gives us a good bounce and then come down. I do think that we'll have a bit of a bear rally here. I could be wrong, but at one point I do think you'll have a rally. See, before we hit the all-time bottom, we had a real capitulation here, had a bit of a rally, and then found our spot. So we are due very close. If you look here, it's not that far from the bottom. So we'll have a straight fall, have a bounce, and then come back down. And I'm thinking that's what we're going to have here. Have a bounce, and then come back down. And I'll be looking to enter there. And you can see this was a strong resistance, very strong resistance all the way through. It was a 3-year resistance. It should be a 3-year support. It should be a strong support. If we were to break that, then this level is obviously another strong resistance level. This is a major level. So if Bitcoin was to come down this level, 100% in. I would expect at least a bounce. After that bounce, if you look at my previous video posts, I do have a formation that's going to take place. I do see this coming up to this 200 moving average level. It might actually do better, but I do see it coming up to this 200, these two green lines, that band, getting a rejection, and then maybe potentially do that. That's what I'm hoping for. And so in the context of Bitcoin dropping further, I do believe Ethereum is going to do the same. Okay. If you've got any, hi there. Okay, what's Casey? All right. You got any questions, Casey? So the logic's there, I believe, a lot of Fibonacci's and a lot of previous important levels need to be correlated. And yeah, I think I'm doing a good job on that perspective. If any, there's a few people online. If you've got any questions, point away. And while I'm here, I'm going to advocate 2 of my long-term strategies, something that I am doing. And I've got no affiliation with these coins or all the rest. I'm a big believer of TrueBit. And TrueBit's not really, so this is the accumulation area. TrueBit, okay. I don't just trying to learn. Okay, all right, Casey. If you want to learn, Casey, if you're a newbie, maybe you should just follow people like me and pick up little tips there. And on the internet, my website, there is some text. Just I'll give you a pointer. So here, you don't have to sign in or anything. Just a free course. This gives you the fundamentals, and you just click on these, and they will explain the things there. So if you've got any newbies, it's basically you need to learn the fundamentals or the elements on the chart and how to put them together. That's what I've been doing. These are all the elements on the chart. We put them together to make a story that makes sense, and then you find confluence. So on the chart, you want to see at least 2 or 3 elements on the chart that line up for a good business case for a rejection or support. So that's pretty much it. And anyway, so here's TrueBit. I think TrueBit is going to be huge, and I just wish I'd get vindicated when that time comes, so people can say thank you, Sam. The other one is I actually got three. So optimism. I'm looking at optimism at the moment. I was hoping it might break above that. Optimism, as you know, is an Ethereum compliant platform that makes Ethereum gas much cheaper, and so on. And I do believe optimism is going to be. It's never had its bull run, so if you accumulate optimism at the right time in the bull run, it should go well. And what's my other one? My other one is Glimmer, which is a Moonbeam. I did a video today. It also never had its bull run, and it's part of the DOT ecosystem. And I do believe Moonbeam's going to be huge as well. So those are the three coins that I'm interested in. I thought I'd share them. There's many more, obviously, but these are the ones that haven't had their bull run. Actually, Shoebit probably did have one, but not to the scale that it should. Still early. So if we look at on the daily, if we look at it actually came a bit late. So this level could be a good accumulation level. And you can see these are huge gains when it first came out, spiked. But I do believe this is going to be huge. Anyway, so that's that. And if no one else has got any questions, I'm going to wrap it up and leave it at that. So here we go.